What is going on at the Jeff Reviews for You household? It looks awesome. And are you looking for ways to upgrade the lighting at your house? Well, guess what? This video is for you. Eufy has released 5 new light sets. 4 of them are exterior, 1 of them is interior. Guess what? They all interact with each other. They're all AI enabled and they all worked with your existing Eufy camera systems. This video is your one-stop shop to check out every single one of these videos. We are going to look at each of them individually. Also, we're going to look at how they interact with each other, and then we're going to test the WonderLink system. You know what? Let's start unboxing and getting started. The first light that we're going to take a look at is the Outdoor Pathway Lights. This is the E10. It's a 4-pack. It does have all the brilliant colors that you'd expect from Eufy. This is IP65 rated. It is Alexa and Google compatible. And guess what? They tell us that these LEDs will last over 50,000 hours. All that for a retail price of around $130. Let's open this up and see what we get. Unboxed, we have our 4 lamps, we have our wiring, and of course we have our stakes. What I really appreciate about this is the stakes are made out of aluminum. They are not plastic, so if you're trying to get these in the ground, you're not going to snap them off. Also, the main part of the body here of the lamps are also aluminum. You do have some plastic pieces right here on the top and where the light will show, but I appreciate the aluminum housing down here. Each lamp is 16 inches tall, and right here, going from the diameter from one side of the circle to the other is 2 inches. The space right here on the side that's for the light on the lamp is right around 3 3/4 inches tall. My recommendation is to pre-drill your holes in the ground before installing the spikes or the stakes, but then you're going to want to be able to screw these in just like this into the bottom of the lamps and then secure them into the ground. I don't think this is going to break if you just try to do this manually, but you could potentially damage them. It's always best to try to pre-drill the hole first, at least part way. The wire to connect each lamp is all one piece. You're going to start right here. It's already connected to the control module, but then you're going to come into a bunch of T's, actually 3 of them. So it tees up, you connect, you go to the next one, there's another T, and it all ends at this one final unit for your last light. But this wire is all connected. What I'm going to do is I'm going to connect all of these parts together right here, set up the app, and then go install it on the outside. When we connect the pieces, there really is only one right way and one wrong way to do it. So once you get it locked in place, then you bring up your connection and make that watertight seal. So they really do make this pretty easy. We have all 4 lamps connected to the wire. Our wire is plugged in and our control module is right here ready. We have the Eufy Life app open, so we're going to hit the plus at the top right of the screen. We're going to hit add device. We are already connected together. We already have it plugged in, so let's hit next. What we're supposed to do now is we're supposed to take the control module and push the button down here for a few seconds. Now, mind you, these lights may flash. Ready? Well, it took a little longer for mine to light up. They weren't lit up right away, but now they look like they're lit up. So they did flash and now they're blinking all sorts of different colors. Let's try that again. There we go. We've definitely flashed and we are ready to go. Of course, we have our lights close to our device. We have found our Eufy Outdoor Permanent Pathway Lights, the E10. Let's click on that. So now we have our device close to the lights themselves. It is completely uploading. This will be in the backyard look. You can put these inside, but that's not what we're going to do. So let's hit next. These we'll just say around a bush. I think that, well, we'll pick a lane. And then there we go. We can choose to rename it here right now in the app, or we can leave it as it is. I'm going to leave it as it is for now. What I'm going to do here is I will configure the Wi-Fi to my 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, and then we're going to install them. Our lights are set up to the Eufy Life app. I do appreciate all the different color options that we are allowed to use. This is of course just the warm soft light, but coming up we're going to be using some holiday themed ones, and so the lighting will be just changing. That is super cool. What we're going to do now is we're going to grab these 6-inch stakes, attach them to our lights, and go install them outside. This is the location where I'm going to install my Outdoor Pathway lights. It's around 24 feet of length, and it goes around this arc right here. I should say that the length of wire between each pathway light is 10 feet. I'm not going to be using all 10 feet, so I'm going to end up using some zip ties to loop them up and bury them in the mulch, but this is the general area in which I'm going to install it. I think it's going to work out real well. Here's lamp number 1. This is where I want to install it. I push it down just a little bit. I'm going to try to install it just using the stake, hoping I don't need to pre-drill. So we're just going to push this down. I'm about 1 foot in. I think that looks pretty good. Right now, I just have the wire going right behind it. I am going to tie all this together with zip ties at the end to make sure it looks a little better, but this will probably be buried. But just so you know, it does drop back behind the light about a foot. So we have our wire running behind right here on the mulch. You can see where I looped it all up together, the excess, and then it goes, of course, to the next one. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to pick up an extra bag of mulch just to cover all this up, but it's really just going to lay like that under the mulch. I was having difficulty just because of the small area trying to figure out how to give you the best view, but here are all 4 lights installed. The first 3 lights, the furthest 3 are exactly 6 feet apart. This closest light right here is 7 feet from the other one, and that's just because I have a downspout runoff right here, and I wasn't looking to have that 4th light get really wet every time it rained. I'm really looking forward to seeing what these look like at night, lighting up my pathway. This is our first look at night of our outdoor pathway lights, and I'm really pleasantly pleased with how they look. Don't they look super awesome? Of course, right now I have them on the daylight. You can see from the app right there pulled up, but check this out. Want to go over to ambient? Let that thing load up in just a second, and we get to try different scenes that are already built in, and we have the holidays just around the corner. Let's try the first one and see what happens. Check that out. Now our lights can be extra festive. That brings us to the second light that we'll be looking at in this video, and this is the Outdoor Spotlight E10. Of course, you can see this is a 2-pack. We have a retail value right around $70. It also comes with the IP65 rating, and the LEDs are expected to last up to 50,000 hours as well. Plus, my favorite part, we're gonna look at this later, it seamlessly interacts with the eufy Life app. Let's open this up and see what we get. We are unboxed, and this is what one of the outdoor spotlights look like. I do appreciate that the housing here feels to be aluminum. They are actually a compact size, which is pretty impressive. This stake right here is already attached. It can be removed. This is made out of plastic, so I would caution you, as in when you're putting this in the ground, to make sure you're careful as not to break it. It does feel heavy duty, just something I wanted to point out. Let's take a quick look at the wiring. This is an expandable set, meaning you have a 2-pack here, but you can buy additional packs to hook them together. This part right here that has no cap to it, this one is actually what's going to connect you to your power and the control module. And then this one right here actually has a cap on the end. So if you only want to have a 2 set, this stays capped, but if you want to expand your set, you would uncap this and connect it to the new set. You can see right here there's a wing nut adjustment there, and what that does is it provides a 130-degree tilt either up or down for your spotlight. Also, right out of the box, it comes with this 1-inch extension rod already installed. You can choose to leave it there just like that, and this is the height you would have from the ground up, or you can replace this 1-inch extension rod with one of the 9-inch extension rods. That's just the difference that they have for you. Not required, but if you want your spotlight to be a little taller, you'd want to put in the 9-inch rod. The wires already come pre-attached, and I will say they're 10 feet of wire you have from one spotlight to the other. You don't have to use all 10 feet, but that's just the maximum allowed you're going to have. If you want to have it shorter, of course, you have to twist tie the wires closer together and maybe bury them or so, but you do have a 10-foot maximum extension between one spotlight to the other. I'm going to show you real fast how to change out the extension rod. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start spinning, but notice I'm spinning the wires with it because I don't want to kink the wires as they're going, because I don't want to have anything happen to them. It's just a little process that takes a little bit of time if you want to take out this 1-inch extension piece and replace it with the 9-inch piece. So we're just going to slowly start to pull that stuff out. Now that I've separated from the spotlight itself, this is actually a lot easier to separate it from the stake. You do have to take this whole thing apart because you want to bring these wires out entirely. As you are fishing the wires to the end, you're going to notice that you have 2 pieces to get through. So what I recommend is you take off this cap that goes onto the one piece if you don't want to expand it, and just remove that one first. I always recap that just so I know which one it is, even though it's pretty hard to mess them up. And then I can take the other piece out. Now what I would do is I would fish all of these wires back through into the 9-inch piece, and then go all the way back through again, attaching your stake and attaching the light. That's how you swap out your extension pieces. Of course, to tighten it up, I'm going to bring this right here around my light so that's nice and tight. And then I'm going to bring in my stake again to line this all up nice and tight as well. Just like before, I'm turning one way and the other as to not kink the wires. And just like that, in a matter of minutes, I went from a 1-inch extension to a 9-inch extension. Of course, I'm going to reverse the process because I'm going to stick with the 1-inch ones. I just wanted to show you how this was done. We have our control module plugged in. What we're going to do now is we're going to connect our power source to the lights themselves, put on this tightening unit just to make sure we get that IP65 rating, and then we're going to officially set this up to our app. We have the Eufy Life app open. Of course, what we're going to do is we're going to add our spotlights. So let's hit that plus at the very top, add device. Of course, we are that close. We're already connected in. Let's hit next. Now, just like all the other ones, we're supposed to push and hold the button here for a few seconds. Let's do that. All right, now that our lights have blinked and are on, we are going to click the button that said it flashed. It already found our outdoor spotlights. Let's click that. Of course, we are right next to the lights, so it should have no issues doing here. We're going to install this in the front yard, and we're going to look at, I guess, around a tree line. No, bushes are fine. Yep. We're going to leave the name just the way it is. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to configure to my 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi connection. For the purpose of this test, I'm going to put the spotlights right here, right out front by my bushes. Now I just have them set in just so I can see how far apart I wanted them. They're really just going to illuminate this area at night. This may not be my final install, but at least for this test, I think it'll give us a good picture of what they can do. This is where I'm going to want my light, and so I'm just going to pre-drill at least down halfway because I don't want to put any damage or excess stress on that stake. I'm going to try to push it in the rest of the way, but that way I know that that thing will not be damaged. I really just muscled it down the rest of the way. Now I'm flush to the ground and it looks pretty sweet. Let's go put the other one in. For now, I just looped the extra cord right around the second spotlight. If this was going to be my final install, I would end up just burying all this in the ground so you didn't see it. They have been installed, they have been tested, they work. I'm very excited. Let's check back in on them this evening. Here we're taking a look at our spotlights outside. These are the only exterior lights I have right here on the house. Of course, this is that warm daylight, but we want to check it out into something a little more festive. I don't know, maybe we'll switch over to an event and start a party. Let's see those lights just light up. Isn't that really, really cool? They are the perfect accent to the exterior parts of your house. This brings us to light number 3. This is the eufy Indoor Floor Lamp E10. And at the time of this video, it retailed for right around $70. The cool thing about this is, one, it has a futuristic design and it boasts 1700 lumens, and it's said to brighten every corner. Let's open this up to see what we get. With the light unboxed, you can see that there is some assembly required. Let's go over the parts. Right here you have the base, which weighs over 5 pounds, and that's important because it sort of has that anti-tip feature that actually says up to 25 degree that it will not tip over. That's exciting. There are 3 pieces in the middle. That's going to make up the arm of the light. There's the LED right here that's rolled up. And of course, there's our power cord. They even include a screwdriver and some screws to assemble the light. Let's start putting this together and see how it looks. The assembly is pretty straightforward. There are 3 pieces for the arm, 2 lower pieces, and then 1 upper piece. And the difference with the upper piece is there's a stopper at the top that shows that you will not go any further with attaching the pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the 2 lower pieces. This silver part just slides right on in. You got to line it up. And once it's lined up, it should slide in pretty easily. From there, we're going to insert the included screws and just tighten this piece down. What this is doing now is it's connecting the 2 lower pieces together so they almost become one solid piece. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go connect the upper piece. With the upper piece slid into space, now let's get the 2 screws for here, drop them in, and tighten that down too. We've just finished connecting all the 3 pieces together. This is about 44 inches in length. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to connect this to the base. And in order to do that, we take the 44-inch piece that we already put together, slide it right into the connector, grab 2 more screws, and tighten that down in place. As we are tightening down this last screw, our next step is going to be to install the light itself. And there is a way you have to do it, so pay attention to this next step. There's this little connector piece on the end of the LED strip that actually is going to connect into the lamp. You take the wire, you slide it in, make sure it clicks, and you are good to go. Let's sort of fish that wire down a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the light in down here at the bottom. See how that's getting there nice and flush? And then I'm going to move on up to the top. In order to make this work, you had to slide it in down at the bottom like we did, and then we slid it in at the top. You notice there's this bow in the middle? That's important because now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start squishing that into place. You cannot put the middle in first before the top and the bottom are in. Since the top and the bottom are in, now we can just start smushing in the rest of it all the way down. There we go. Now our entire LED is lined in perfectly, centered with inside the housing. Now that we have our LED installed, I've turned the lamp around because that's how you're supposed to face it with the wall. It actually reflects the LEDs off the wall, but what we want to do now is we actually want to set it up. Now, I've just plugged it in, so let's pull open the app. With our app open, let's push the plus button at the top. We are going to add a device. Yes, we're already connected to power. Let's hit next. Now we have to do just like on all the other eufy items that we've done, we have to push and hold the module button. Let's do that now. We were able to do that and the light did flash 3 times. Now we are going to continue on. It did find our device already, so here it goes. We're pretty close to it, within 5 feet of the light. It's definitely going to be indoors. We're going to call it the eufy Indoor Floor Lamp E10 is fine. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this to my 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. Now that we are set up to the app, we can turn our light on and see, wow, isn't that cool? But my favorite part is definitely the different colors that you can have through the eufy app. It is very cool. We have our eufy Indoor Floor Lamp just set up right here next to the TV in the living room, and I wanted to show you something really, really cool. So what I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna open up the app. With our app open, what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna select the Lumino link down there at the bottom right of the screen, and that is actually what links your cameras together with your eufy lights. I've already made the scene that I'm going to use, and it's the one that's right here called Visitors, but just let's take a look at it. See, inside of this scene, I have my garage side, my garage front camera ready to detect any visitor, and when a visitor is detected, it'll actually turn this light from right now, that daylight light, to the red light, letting me know that somebody is here. Let's test it out. For this test, I've solicited my son to help me out. He's gonna run around outside. We have the camera pulled up. Let's see what happens. Oh, do you see that? My son just popped up in the video and immediately that light turned red, detecting that somebody was here. That is actually really cool, and I appreciate how responsive it is. That brings us to our 4th eufy light in this video. This is the Outdoor String Lights E10. As per this review, they retail for right around $90. A cool feature about this is that actually the wires are dual layered, so they're able to withstand up to 1,000 bends, and that's pretty important for lights that hang like this. I should say that each string of lights is around 10 feet long with 3 feet in between each light bulb. It is IP65 weather rated. Let's open this up and see what they look like. In the box, there are 2 strings of bulb lights. We've actually unboxed one of them. The other one I'm leaving over here. This is 30 feet long. It's probably what I'm going to use for my installation. There's also some zip ties and some screws. That's 2 different ways you can secure the lights to whatever you're connecting them to. And of course, there's the power supply and the module to control the lights themselves. Let's take a closer look at one of the lights. You can see right here is where the screw would hook into. There's also a clip if you have like airplane cable you want to hook this onto or something else you want to hook it onto, and it's also a spot where you can hook on the zip ties. I do appreciate the different ways that you can install these lights. Do you know what I want to do though? I want to see what the light looks like. This is a plastic housing, so let's pop this out. There is a rubber gasket around there. Let's pull this part out. It's like a diffuser, I think, for the LED. That's kind of neat. All right, so there's your LED. It's got some sort of a diffuser. You're not really supposed to take this apart. I just wanted to see what it looked like inside. It actually looks pretty cool. Since I'm only gonna be using 1 string of lights, I'm actually gonna put the cap on this other end. This other end is where you would extend to another string of lights. Now, I'm gonna set this up so I might be able to do this in the future, but actually for today's install, I'm only gonna be using 1. Now we're going to connect the other end, and this is actually where the power would be supplied from the module to the lights themselves. We're going to hook that in. Now we're going to use the nut and tighten this down so we have that IP65 weather rating. Make sure it's nice and tight. I have the app open, of course, to eufy Life. So what we're going to do now to add these lights, we're going to hit the plus at the top right. We're going to click Add Device. Of course, we are already plugged in and ready to go, so let's hit Next. We have the module right here. We're going to push and hold the button for a couple seconds. Let's hit the button. There we go. We got our flashing light. We're going to hit that on there. Now it's going to detect our device. Let's click it here. Of course, it's scanning everything. We are real close to that device. This is going to go in the backyard. Click next. And then we, of course, are going to be, we'll just call it, I guess, a country yard. And of course, that's the name that they default with us. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to configure onto my Wi-Fi. We have finished installing these through the Eufy Life app, and we are all ready to go install them onto our pergola. Let's go do it. I think I mapped out how this is going to look. I'm going to start right around here, come down to the corner, go all the way down to the end, come over, bring a whole line down the middle, go again to this side, all the way down over there, and hopefully end right about here so I have even coverage. In my application, I'm only going to be using one strand, and I've been out here for about an hour just figuring out how I can get it to work exactly correct. Hopefully this does a good job. I'm going to get the zip ties out that they have included and start zip tying the lights to the frame. I ended up finishing the first run of lights, and I want to give you a quick close-up of what I did. I tried as many different ways I could to secure the lights to the bar. I've tried the zip ties hooked on different ways, but I always made the lights look crooked, and I kind of wanted to make it look straight like they are now, so I ended up using a zip tie on either side. They're actually still pretty loose, just holding the wire, not putting any pressure. If I like it like this, I'm probably going to run an airplane cable across just to simplify the install, but this looks the most clean. Of course, it goes without saying I'm going to use twice as many zip ties, but that's okay. I'll just get more. We are officially done. I'm excited how they look. They're nice and spaced out, and they look even. It did take me a little longer than I thought it should, but I'm excited to check it out tonight to see how it looks. Here we are taking a look at our outdoor string lights, and I am very pleased with these. This is exactly the look I was looking for out here on the gazebo. Right now, we are just throwing a little bit of a party, but if I wanted to go back outside the party time and right back in here to our daylight lights, our warm white lights, I really think it's a cool feature. Very quick and responsive app. This is an extra cool install. That brings us to the fifth set of lights that we're going to be reviewing. This is the eufy Permanent Outdoor Lights E22. Of course, you see this one is 100 feet long, and as per this video, this retails for $199. This also has an IP65 weather rating. Let's open it up to see what these lights look like. As you can see, unboxed, we have a lot of stuff. There are a total of 3 boxes that have your lights in them. Each box has 2 sets of lights, so I've taken one out. My other 2 are still in the boxes. We have a pretty impressive power brick. There's an extension cable and a power cable, and of course, we have the module that controls the lights themselves. Not to mention they included a lot of screws, a quick start guide, and some extra 3M stickers if we need them. Each string is around 16.5 feet long, and there are 10 different LEDs on each light, and you cannot modify the strings at all. I'm going to test everything inside before we take it outside to install. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the control module and hook it up to the power supply. They do have the IP67 rating, but we want to make sure we tighten these down so no water gets in, and they are nice and snug. Now that our power is installed, we also want to make sure we can now connect that to our line of lights. Plugged in, do the same exact thing where we tighten this down. We're not only making sure we have our water protection rating, but this is also going to keep it from being able to be unplugged. Now I want to install our new E22 light. So we have the Eufy Life app open. You can see we already have a permanent outdoor light set up. That's our E120, but what I want to do now is we're going to click the plus at the top right, add a device. We are already close to our wire and connected. Let's hit next. We're going to push and hold the button right here on the module for 2 seconds, and then we're going to see them all flash. Whoa, there they are. Let's click flashed white. Now it actually found our lights that fast. So let's click on it. It wants us to have our phone near the device. There they are. Of course, these are going to go in our front yard. Let's hit next. Sure, we're going to install these on the eave. And now I'm going to continue to configure the Wi-Fi setup. And now that our Wi-Fi is completely set up, let's go install these officially. See that we've started sticking our lights on. I'm really just using the adhesive backing right now. I am going to come back and get the screws to hold them in later. What I did is I lined this connection up right with the center of the porch, and I'm just moving left and I'm just moving right to get them evenly installed. What I've done here is I've actually just put the 4-inch ruler underneath the J channel. It's going flush against there and I'm coming 4 inches out, and that's how I'm going to have them centered and leveled all the way around. Now that I have it in place, I'm going to push and hold right here for 45 seconds. If I did not want to install the screws, this would be a temporary install, but I'm going to do the permanent install and install the screws later, but this will definitely hold it in place. I also wanted to make sure that this line is not kinked or twisted all the way around. Of course, now at every single spot, I do put in a screw just to make sure that it stays in tight. At every one of my connections, I actually just clip off the cap right here because I don't need it, and I'm just going to throw that away because this makes my connection and I won't ever use this piece again. I just didn't want it hanging there and it looked kind of odd. Some other finishing touches, what I did is I put the end cap on, made sure that was tight and secure, plus I tucked that right here into the J channel. It is accessible if I want to extend the line, but I will also have it protected underneath the eave here. This is going to be the last part of our video. We're going to do a big WonderLink scene. It's also on here known as LuminoLink. What we're going to do is going to click the bottom right of our app where it says LuminoLink. We are going to open it up right here where we can make our very own interactive scene. Now, this is going to tie all of our lights in with our camera. So that button in the middle, it says add interactive scene. We're going to click right on there. We're going to name this just for fun. All right, so now what devices I want to turn on. So we're going to click that. So what I'll do is I would like these two cameras, my garage front and garage size cameras, to be the one that are going to activate. The devices we are going to use is everything in the front yard, everything in the backyard. I think that's everything there. So we're going to save that. And just like before, what we're going to do is we are going to have them turn like red, I think. That'll be just fun so we can see what that looks like just as a real quick thing. Actually, you know what? Since I don't have that color set up, I'm just going to click on President's Day and hit save. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to do the date. We'll just do every single day, confirming there. And then the time. We have to change the time since it's later than that right now. Oh, no, it's okay. And we're just going to have this run for 1 minute. Hit confirm. We're going to save. So theoretically, what is supposed to happen is all of these lights are supposed to click on red, white, and blue as soon as they see movement. Oh, that was quicker than I even thought it was going to happen. You can see down here at the bottom, our floodlights are doing that along with the E22, but let's go check on our other lights. Let's go. I'm trying to catch it all in one video, but you can see our pathway lights and the bulbs out back also kicked onto that red, white, and blue just because our cameras detected our motion. That is an awesome feature, and I think something that's really cool. I really do appreciate that you stayed around for my entire review where I outlined these 5 new lights from eufy. Actually, not that long ago, I created an in-depth review video for the E22. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link it right up here for you to click on. And when you click on the link, by the magic of the internet, I'm going to join you at that review. So go ahead, click it. It's safe, I promise.